probably heard it before. Visualize, align, surrender is sort of at the core of what I do.
Yep.
Neutral state.
That's your thing.
And then, how do I help people create what they want? Visualize, align, surrender. So a new thing that has come to me in this past week is that what I'm doing is helping people create a functional connection to their higher wisdom. And
Hmm.
I was like, you guys could have told me that a long time ago. That's a really good one, right? Create a functional connection to your higher wisdom. So that means, I want to empower you to know that you have everything you need to do this for yourself. But when you work with other people, whether it's you or me or, our friends Val or Lisa or a combination of all of the above, we see the blind spots,
Mm-hmm.
right? For the
Yep.
person who's that we're working with. And I have blind spots, you have we all have blind spots,
Right.
right? And
Yep.
so I had the opportunity this week to work a little bit with Mooney of the Mooneyverse, and it was a really beautiful experience, but it helped me get some clarity, and then it helped me get some clarity on what I want to do. It helped me get some clarity on kind of what I don't want to do,
Hmm.
because
Right.
his whole goal to teach people is like find something that arrive at something that you can lather, rinse, and repeat.
Hmm.
I'm not so great for lather, rinse, and repeat.
Hmm. No,
Um,
we're in the creative, like, hey, what's the new thing I can do today?
Well, that and, I really want to connect to your energy. When I'm
Right.
working with you, I want to connect to your energy,
Ah.
and I want your guides, teachers, and angels to tell me what it is that you need.
Oh, good.
So what I need to create is this framework,
Hmm.
right? And I think that's, kind of that part of it is to me lather, rinse, and repeat.
Yep.
So,
That makes sense.
right? It's
Yep.
framework is a good thing, and I'm excited because we've decided that next week we're going to talk all about using tarot in your life and for
Yeah.
manifesting and everything else. And next week we're also going to talk about the new moon
Yes.
for the month of February.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be interesting watching this year and how we progress through this year with that manifesting, right?
Yeah.
Because we're really kind of honing in and dialing in on what it is that we want. So I still firmly believe that if people would adopt this sort of method for themselves, visualize, align, surrender, and then of course gratitude. But that doesn't flow off the tongue as nicely as visualize,
Hmm.
align, surrender. Um, it would be, if you really think about it, it really is what it takes to manifest. It's figuring out what you want, right? And then adjusting your vibration to match it so that you can attract it. So I just want to start with the first one and then move on to align and surrender. So visualize, figure it out, align, take action, surrender, sit back. So what
Wait. Go back. The, that's the first time I've connected your tagline with the teachings of Abraham, which are those exact three things,
Oh,
right?
really?
Yes. The first one is put your intention out there, or think about what it is you want, and then the next one is to take action, and then the next one is to let the universe do its thing. It's
So
one,
isn't
two, and three. You've
so
just given them a very eloquent names.
well, I mean, that really goes to show, because I'm not familiar with the teachings of Abraham, right?
Hmm.
It goes to show that it's like Val says, there's nothing new under the sun,
Right.
right? It's just the way that we interpret it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's amazing because, the me in the past would have been like, what are you talking about? It's nothing like that. Because that's fear talking, right?
Sure. Right.
So that was me not being in a state of neutral. That's me being that's imposter syndrome and
Right.
everything. I mean, right? If you think
Yeah.
about it.
Yep.
So
True. True.
um, the truth is that there needs to be more than one way of interpreting that same energy because not everybody understands or learns the same way.
Yep.
So, for some people, it might visualize the line surrender might just sound way too woo woo. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And vice versa. So I love that. Two things. You pointed it out and it didn't trigger me, right? I
Always a
mean,
good, always a good thing.
well, it is,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean that's the whole idea. My it means that the work that I'm doing over these last years to meet people where they are is paying off.
Sweet. Good. 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 Good.
And then it also means I'm on the right track.
Yeah. Right. And in very good company.
Yes. So that's amazing. So okay, so visualize. I mean, for me, visualizing is an easy thing to do. I can close my eyes and I can see the cottage I created for myself, my meditation space that is a place for me to go to when I just need to chill and whatever. I can close my eyes and see that. Uh I can visualize the the wellness center that I would like to create. I can
Mm.
I can visualize those things, right?
Hmm.
But not everybody can do that. And so if I was to say to you, um, visualize a conversation space where you can have a conversation with your guides, teachers, or guardian angels. Can
Hmm.
you actually draw a picture in your mind?
Um, i I have not done that yet, but if I were asked to do so, yes, I could.
Okay, so that's, I mean, so how about if, all right, fine. How about if we pretend that you can't? What else might you be able to do if you can't actually visualize it?
You can visualize something like it. You could visualize a space that you already know that is a safe and happy
Oh,
place.
that's a good one. So you could picture a place that you already know, which means you don't have to conjure up a picture. I love that. I that's a good one. I really like that.
So my go-to is often the beach, listening to the waves, not being in the water, but on the beach, listening to the waves.
So so funny. I was reminded. Um Over the years I've done, a number of sort of guided journey type meditations in different places. And I'll never forget this one where I believe her name was Christy, and she led us through this meditation and she invited us to walk from somewhere and then along a river. Look down in the water. What do you see in the water? And I will never forget it. It was so, like, just so weird. I saw Mr. Limpet swim up to the surface. I mean, it was so fun, and if you're young and you're listening, I apologize. I'm sure you don't may not know who Mr. Limpet was, but John, I think you probably
Yeah.
do,
Yep.
right? And it was just so like,
What's he doing there?
what's he doing here? And then it turned out that because this was in a shop, in a downtown, probably built in the late 1800s or early 1900s, where all the buildings were like right next to each other on top of each other, right?
Yep.
You can picture that, the two-story buildings, shops on the bottom, homes,
Right.
dwellings on the top. So right next to this metaphysical shop was a shoe store that had a storeroom that had been closed up for decades. And they had just opened it up and started moving everything out. And it
Hmm.
turned out that that room had been closed up since the 70s.
Huh.
And so all of a sudden, Angie's downstairs in the basement doing meditations after yoga and these guided meditations. And I see Mr. Limpet. I find myself in the living room of the Mary Tyler Moore show. Like it was just so, it was one of the first times that I was given a clue that I am, that being sensitive to energy
Yes.
is very different from what you actually think that it is,
Right.
right?
You
So
picked up all this 70s energy.
yeah, right.
That's awesome.
And it reminded me of Mr. Limpet and, Dick Van Dyke, which was a favorite, of course. So I
Sure.
just, it's so funny. So, but
Wow.
anyway, so let's go back to visualize. I feel like visualize should be the easy part. But I think it's hard for people to really get clear on what it is that they want. So,
especially if they're not used to it. What do you mean visualize?
right. And so I maybe I mean I love the tagline, right? Visualize, align, surrender. But I want to take the idea of that out of it. If you can't visualize it, you can imagine it. You can,
Yeah,
but the point is it's get really clear on what it is that you want. And I think that's a big part of why people struggle to manifest what they want in their day-to-day
yeah.
life
You
because
know
they
what?
don't know what
This
it is.
that reminds me when I was doing this early on in a coaching program. There were a couple guys. Usually, it's the guys in the course who said, I can't do it. I can't do it." And the coach would always say, "Well, if you could, what would you see?" Which would it gets that over that block, and then suddenly they would come up with something.
That's amazing. If
It,
you could,
it
what
was
would you
really
see?
clever. Yep.
Yeah, that's really, I
Yep.
mean, that's it. And the truth is, a lot of people are visualizing things all the time because I mean, how many people do you know that create vision boards,
Yeah. Right. It's kind of
right?
what we do now.
I mean, I don't,
Well,
but but the truth is if I could get my hands on a stack of magazines and a piece of poster board,
well, what I was
scissors
going to
and
say is on a smaller level, on a smaller scale, you're kind of doing that all the time. You're thinking,
right,
what is the future me going to look like? And that's
right.
essentially.
That's exactly what it is, and it's something that I learned in the Dougal Fraser class, which is 4 weeks in, I think now, was connect with your future self. The
I love
idea of
that.
connecting with your future self. So to me, that's part of visualize too, right? Like,
Yep.
so we've been talking about, you and I were both talking about our January intentions were, about health in some way,
Yep.
right? And so it's like, if I eat this, how will I feel in an hour? Connect with my future self and get that answer,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So if I go to the gym today, how will I feel in an hour? How will I feel in a week if I do it,
Hmm.
3 times this week?
Hmm.
So, I
That's
mean,
going to help me to get to bed on time, actually.
yeah,
If I
right?
don't go to bed on time, how will I feel in the morning?
How will I feel in the morning?
Right.
Connect with your future and
Yep.
so to me, that's a component of visualizing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So you got vision boards, you got um let's say you want to manifest a restaurant, you want to open a restaurant. Well, what does it look like in the front? What is the menu? What's on the menu? Does it
The
have tables? Is it
details. The
right?
details. Get to the details.
And that might be written down on paper,
Mhm, mhm.
and maybe you find as you write those lists out, the picture starts becoming clearer in your mind. And so it's about visualizing so that you can connect to the energy of what it is that you want. So I think if we could all do that, I mean, if you imagine like manifesting, you want to opening a window is manifesting, right? You want to manifest an open window. That is manifesting. Like
Mhm.
it's not what a lot of people think about manifesting because I think a lot of people think manifesting is poof and it appears.
Right, right, yep.
Although in the case of Amazon packages, they kind of do poof, right? One minute they're not there and the next minute
Right.
they are. But
Especially if you go, "I just ordered that 20 minutes ago."
yeah, right. But you okay, I'm hot. I imagine myself cooling off. What do I need to do that? I need to open the window. So I get up and I open the window. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's really all about visualizing or connecting with your future self, what it is. I love that. That's really great. So, folks, in case you hadn't noticed while you're listening here, I'm sussing out what I'm going to do moving forward for this year. So, thanks for taking the time to listen, and I do hope that you also get something out of it for yourself. I
Mhm.
mean, how can you teach other things? That's how you hold on to things for yourself is to share them with others, right?
Yep.
So okay, so we've got visualizing. Now align. That's my next
That's the haul
that's
off
the
and
next
do.
one. And it's really funny because I think when you talk alignment to people, I think people are like um I don't know that people like if I asked you well, I know that you and I have talked enough to know that I know you know what align means, but I think that a lot of people don't equate the idea of moving into alignment with what you want with action. I
Right.
don't think they
With
necessarily put
action.
it together,
Yep.
right? Like you have to take the action. I mean, it's you talk about I want to win the lottery, which everybody wants to win. Well, not everybody, but you can't win the lottery without buying the ticket. You have to
Right.
take an action. You
Right.
can't, there's just, I mean,
It's kind of meeting
even,
spirit halfway.
yeah, right? Like,
It's like, tell you what, you bring me this, and I'll meet you out on the street to get it.
yeah, right? Like, so, I mean, there are things, right? There are the things that you want to create that you need to, if you want to become a teacher, a school teacher, you need to go to school to get that credential, right?
Yep.
Like that, but that's still manifesting. I think a lot of people want to separate, uh,
Right.
separate that idea, but
Now here's the thing. If the only thing you do is take action, that doesn't really work either, because then
no,
you're randomly acting.
that's good too. But and that's true. You're kind of moving aimlessly
Hmm.
from one thing to the next, and it's not working at all either. So that's why visualize has got to be the first step, right?
Yep.
Figure out what you want, then take
100%.
action toward it
Hmm.
or to match the frequency of it. If you're speaking in terms of vibration. Um, so for example, I mean, so a lot of people, what do you want in life? Well, a lot of people will say, I want to be happy. I think happiness is a choice. You know what I mean? Go look at puppy videos and that'll make you happy. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
think
Right.
I think that's very different from I want to live a joyful life.
Hmm.
To me, a joyful life is a state of being, happiness is a choice. So, and that's I suppose semantics.
Sure.
But for me, that's what it means. Um, but what do you want is what would make you happy? Freedom. Okay. All
Hmm.
right, freedom. So can you manifest freedom? I think you can, but I think that you have to take appropriate action to match the energy of freedom.
Hmm.
If you want the energy of freedom and then you go sign yourself up for a million obligations, that is the polarity of freedom. It's the
Right.
opposite of freedom,
Opposite polarity of freedom. Yep.
right? Or
Yep.
or you want to manifest financial abundance,
Hmm.
right? That's what you want. You want financial abundance. Well, then you can't take your paycheck every week and go to the casino
Right. Yep. Yep.
and throw it
Right.
down the toilet, right? Like that's the opposite. So you're telling the universe, I as fast as this money comes in, I'm getting rid of it. So just bypass me altogether when it comes to any of those things, right? Like,
Right. Cut out the middleman.
well, and I think when it comes to money, I think that a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
People that win the lottery or whatever.
Sure.
You hear
Yep.
about those people that win huge lottery winnings, millions,
Right. Right.
and they go broke
Right.
within,
Within a couple of years. Yep. Or shorter.
and it mostly it's because it's not in alignment for them to have that much money.
Hmm.
They don't, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to retire, I'm going to travel, I'm going to do this, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. But money is the energy of money is so fraught with so many different things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Freedom
a
is
lot going
freedom,
on. Yep.
but there's a lot of ins and outs and ups and downs when it comes to money because you have investing, you have purchasing, there's just so many things when it comes to money.
Yep. You have things you
Um,
have to pay for, things you want to pay for, things you know, if you're in the fear consciousness of they're trying to take my money, that's a, that's
and
not
then
an
here,
alignment
nope, it's not, and along they come to take it
to take
away.
your money.
But if you think about it, it's also not flow. If you win the lottery and you just are continually spending, that is not flow, because flow is an exchange, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes money goes out and sometimes money comes in. So if you have a bunch of money coming in, and then you say, well, I'm not going to work and I'm not going to do anything anymore, then that money is
Oh,
going to flow itself out
I see.
until it's used up, right?
Right, right. Interesting.
Even then, it doesn't mean you have to work for your current job. But if you think about some of these people that win, let's say a person that's won $500 million on one of these big Powerball lotteries.
Yep.
There are financial managers whose portfolios of all the clients they have manage $500 million, and it's a full-time job.
Right, right. Yep.
So you just, it's like Oprah said, you sign your own checks. You always sign your own checks,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
Right. Yep.
So that's part of it. And I think to me, really aligning, gratitude comes into under the heading of alignment, right? Be grateful. And I think that a lot of people don't remember to be grateful for the
Mm-hmm.
things that are coming their way.
Right. Yep.
Offer
Yeah.
gratitude for not only what you have, but what is on its way to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's a good tarot card for that, where I think it's the Two of Wands, where you are waiting for your ship to come in, and you're already grateful for that which is on its way to you.
And I think, it's the energy of gratitude is so powerful. I mean, always. And we did that gratitude oracle
Yep.
not too long
Yep.
ago,
I was just
which
thinking about
was
that.
so insightful for me,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes and they can be rather big things, like, maybe we think about, we're grateful maybe for the roof over our heads, and I'm grateful for this show, and grateful that I woke up today, and I'm grateful for my breath. But maybe, do you actually take the time to say thank you to the money that makes its way to you in
Mm-hmm.
exchange for your work?
Yep.
I don't think about that
Yep.
necessarily.
Thankful for the peace in your life. Thankful for the, the where we are right now, the tools we have for manifesting and dealing with spirit.
And
Um,
and the new information that keeps coming to us
yes,
every week, right?
exactly. Yep.
Like, I mean, it's you can't talk about alignment without talking about gratitude.
Agreed.
So, and one of the things I always say, and alignment is also about connecting to the energy of what it is that you want, right?
Right.
Like,
Right. Yep.
I think a lot of people, that really is the core of my work, is when I work with somebody, when I do a session with somebody, I truly want to help them connect to the energy of what it is that they want.
Hmm.
And I think
Can
that
I got to
that's
mention something
so
here.
important. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a Deepak Chopra book where, and I wish I had it at my fingertips, but he says, at the beginning when people want to manifest, what they do is like, I want a huge house and a crap load of money, right? And that's the visualize, and they align with that. But what happens, he says, oftentimes what actually happens is when you align, you actually align with a different with and when you align with that energy, your desires for a crap load of money and a huge house change to be, I want to be able to share my joy with other people, and the need for that monstrous house and a crap load of money diminishes. And so
Mhm.
what ends up happening is your needs start aligning more with spirit, what spirit wants you to align with. And it's kind of a cyclical thing. Uh, that happened to me. My first vision board was cars, a nice house, vacations, and a cleaning service. My latest vision board is, let me get my book out there, to spread the joy of what I've learned, and enjoying the, yeah, I guess basically enjoying what I already have. So the whole thing of material riches diminishes the further along you get.
Right. And that's, I mean, when I'm working with people, I'm focusing on their life purpose, on what it is that they want to,
Right, right. That
what
just
it is that they
trumps
want to do in the world. And the truth of the
huge.
matter is, you're so right about that, because for one thing, the when people do that, I don't think they actually have any idea of what abundance actually means to them.
Hmm. Right. At
You
first
know,
it's money, and later on it's just pure joy.
it's right. And if you align with your life's purpose, right? And let's face it, we're on planet Earth in the United States. We're in a capitalist society. So if you align with your life's purpose, figure out what you love to do, then figure out a way to get paid for it through energetic exchange, then those material things are going to take care of themselves anyway, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
um
It's where the visualization and the focus is that
right.
changes. Yep.
And it's really funny because I remember I was in a mastermind. I don't know that I want I well I won't, it's not really throwing him under the bus. It was in a Mooney mastermind again. I just adore that man. So but it was my turn to speak, and I said something like, I don't I don't I'm not in this to make millions of dollars. And he was like, cancel, clear, delete. And I'm like, just hold on a second. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
big thing, right?
Yep. Yep.
Just hang on a second. And I said, what I want is to be able to do what I want when I want to do it. I want what it takes to be able to do that. Do I need to work so hard as to make 3 million a year? I don't think I do. I don't my you know,
Right.
I don't need to go sleep at the top of the Eiffel Tower, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right. Right.
it so in fact, my idea of alignment didn't actually involve an amount of
Mhm.
money at
Yep.
all.
It was more the freedom, I think.
Yes, it was the freedom. The freedom and the abundance and the freedom to do what. And then if you one of the first things that Lisa, the astrologer, ever said to me was, "Oh, look at this right here. You want to do what you want to do when you want to do it." I said, "Yeah, that's
You're like,
exactly right.
dang
That's
right.
exactly me." So, um,
Mhm.
so that's
That's funny.
it's kind of crazy, right? So,
Yeah.
but alignment is important. If you're not aligned with what it is you're trying to create, I mean, you want to go be a famous actor in Hollywood. You need to take acting classes. It's just,
Right. Right. You meet
or you
spirit
need to
halfway.
be a right. You want to be a Formula One driver. Get a license. Start there. And that's the other thing too, is you were talking about like the big houses and the big cars, and I was listening to Yasmin Boland. She's the moonology
I
lady.
like her. Yep. I have a bunch of her books.
I like her too a lot. And she said, if you're trying to manifest a Maserati, you don't go straight to the Maserati. You start with a bike. You
And trade up.
manifest a bicycle and then you trade up. And I mean, it's you hear those stories of those people who start out, and I know there's been more than one person where, I start out with a paperclip and I
I
say,
know.
I'll trade you this paperclip for something, and they,
Yep.
trade it for a pencil, and then they trade the pencil for I don't know, a stapler, and then the stapler they
Or a
trade their way
typewriter. Yep.
up
Yeah.
to,
Yep. Yep.
and
Those are
and
great stories, by the way. First
I
time I
know,
read that,
aren't
I'm
they
like, oh,
amazing?
hey.
Like
Yeah.
they're so it is such a great tale of alignment, right? Of how it is that you actually align with what it is that you want. Because think about the person who doesn't have a lot, right?
Hmm.
It really doesn't have a lot, and then all of a sudden, they get really lucky. I don't know, they hit the lottery, or they get an acting job that pays a whole lot of money, and all of a sudden now they buy themselves this big house and this fancy car and everything. Do you actually think they're comfortable the first time they walk into that house? No.
probably overwhelmed.
Right. It's not in alignment with who they are at the moment,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
right?
You've
So if
jumped
you
you've jumped energy levels so high.
so high,
Yep.
so it's
And
much better to, just be thoughtful as you move through
that's another
because
Abraham concept of of like they do it in the context of, if you're feeling really down and you're like, I don't want to be happy right now, I just feel down. Well, can you go from feeling down to feeling um uh depressed, or like what's just one level up
no,
from that?
right, right, right.
Annoyed. Can I go from annoyed to feeling um um you know uh tired? Yes. Can I go from tired to feeling accepting? Yes. Can I go from accepting to feeling right?
And that's the way, right? You're
Yep.
you're slowly adjusting your alignment
Yep.
to the state that you want to arrive at. And the truth is, I think that's human. It may only be female, I'm not sure, but sometimes you just want to be mad.
Mhm.
Like,
No, that's not just female. I mean, I've been
okay.
exactly in that case.
So
Yep.
yes, I mean
In that state.
sometimes, it's like just leave me alone for a little while because I want to be mad for a little bit longer. Like just
Right.
leave me be and let me because
So
sometimes you have things that you need to work through. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
I think that's it's it's really like it's really like getting into a hot bath or getting into the pool. When you first jump in, whoa,
Mhm.
and you need to adjust, you need to acclimatize. So that is moving into alignment. So now I want to talk about surrender because this is really what triggered me. Uh, and I don't mean trigger in a bad way, but really what drove me to actually want to talk about this today. And I want to make sure we have enough time. And the idea of surrender. So you visualize what you want, you take action to align with it, and then you step back and let the universe do its thing,
Doer. Yep.
right? So I and this is something that I've worked on too, and you're going to be interested to hear what I'm going to say because it didn't trigger me. I was listening to a program, and Jonathan Rumi, who's
Okay.
in The Chosen, he plays Jesus in The
Oh,
Chosen.
okay. Interesting.
And he looks like all those pictures that you saw, right, with the long hair and the beard and the
Right. Right.
mustache.
Yep.
I've not seen the show, so but he was saying how he had wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be an actor, moved out to LA, was getting to the point where he was running out of money, he was running out of food, he was running out of time to be able to, pursue this, and this is what he wanted. So he dropped to his knees and he said, "God, I surrender my life to you. I just surrender. If this is the path, then I surrender. I
Yep.
just
Yep.
surrender.
Yep.
I'm putting this all in your hands." And he said that very same day, some kind of financial windfall or something happened to where he was able to stay. And then within 3 months, he got this part on The Chosen.
Wow. That's great.
And right, it's amazing. So I was really thinking about like the idea is to me, when you say, "God, I surrender," that's the universe. Right?
Right.
It's
Yep.
just it depends on how you look at it, right?
Yes.
It depends on who you are and what your thought process is and what you believe, but it's the God, it's Allah, it's the universe, it's
Mhm.
Buddha, it's whatever, but it's that higher power. They talk about that in the 12-step program.
Yes. Yep. In fact,
And
I got a story about that real quick. A friend of mine was an alcoholic, and he said it did not. He was not able to. Nothing was working until he got to that point where he says, "I surrender," and then he says, and he just felt immediately taken care of, and that was the turning point, getting back to health.
well, there you go. And so I think it doesn't matter what you think that is. I don't think it matters. I don't
Yep.
I don't I for a long time I struggled with the concept of God
Hmm.
because of my relationship with organized religion.
Yep. Well,
right?
me too,
And
actually.
right? And the things that I heard, like, I mean, I was told that all the Jewish people were going to go to hell because they didn't believe in Jesus Christ. And I couldn't understand that. Like, I
Mhm.
could not wrap like that doesn't make sense.
Right.
You're telling me this about God, and then you're saying all these people are going to be left behind. Like, and then because I heard, what they believed compared to what I was being shown or being taught, I was like, "But what they say makes more sense to me." Uh-oh, now I'm really in trouble,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, you sealed your doom there.
Yeah, so I've gotten to the place where I can say, because I've been paying attention, and there are a lot of people whose faith takes them a long way. I
Okay.
know I know somebody who's in her 80s. Her husband's been gone for 20 some years. She's still strong and amazing and lives on her own, and and bright and optimistic, and everything, because it's somebody from my neighborhood from when I was a kid.
Hmm.
And so we reconnected on Facebook, which is what I think that is wonderful about Facebook, right?
Yeah.
I,
Yep.
I don't have all those other things, but I have these people that I knew when I was younger, who are now back in my life because of it. And but it's always thank the Lord for this day, or oh, these beautiful gifts that God has given us. And I was reminded about how one time I heard Radley Valentine say, "Well, just take that word, whichever one it is, pull it out and replace it with the one that works for you."
Right. Right.
And so once I started really working on that, and I think that there was a large degree, and this is, maybe me vulnerable here for a minute. I think there was a large degree of my objection to people talking about God the way that they did. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm the
Mm.
one that's incorrect? What if
Right.
I'm wrong?
Right. Right.
And so I really had to get to a place where I'm really comfortable with what I believe and how I feel about this. And
Yep. I think for me, what really kind of one defining moment was realizing if you take the judgment out of most people's view of God,
mhm.
everything really aligns. But it's
It
it's
really does.
right. It's the judgment part. And when you get on that judgment part, that's where it's like, no, I don't think that's how it works. Especially when you hear someone say, I speak for God when I say he will judge those people, right?
Right? And I mean, isn't it oh, this one might get me in trouble.
I know I'm already in trouble.
This one might get me in trouble, but isn't it a human thing to assume that God has a human consciousness?
Right. And needs to behave the way that humans behave in
Right.
society.
Right.
To be honest, we have to have some level of justice in our world because there are people that need the strong arm of the law.
Yeah, right.
Justice needs to be served, but God is not according to those rules.
No, no, right. Right. I mean, it's, to me, justice, that's also a human construct,
Yes.
right? And it's one of my favorite sayings is always this, that there are no troubled souls, there are only troubled humans.
Right.
And
That's a great way to say
so,
it. Exactly the same thing.
right? And I was really interesting. It was a client I had, and I mean, the guy had some trauma, which you would be amazed the idea of me working with somebody that, because what I say, right?
Right. No
Um
drama.
But he would sit and he would listen to what I would have to say, and he would take it in, and whether he agreed with it or he didn't, he appreciated my approach to working with energy and what have you. But I always found it interesting, um, because he legit had trauma, right? And he legit had people in his life when he was young who perpetrated this trauma. And for him, the idea of God because he was so energetically aware, just crazy energetically aware.
Cool.
For him, the idea of God brought him comfort because those people were going to pay when they got to heaven.
Mm,
And I was like, oh yeah, well, I mean, if that's what you need,
I
then
suppose. I suppose.
I hope that you can get to a place where you can let that go, because I just don't.
Yep.
I believe that penance or is penance the right word?
Yep.
I believe that that's also a human construct, and that
Mhm.
when we shed the mortal coil, right? It's an entirely different ball game. It's
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
bright blobs of color and what have you. And I also believe that evil is the result of a vibrational mismatch. A vibrational mismatch between a soul and a human body, a
Mhm.
human vessel,
Or the
for
ego.
whatever reason.
Yep.
For whatever reason. I mean, look at royal families and all the inbreeding, like that.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
human bodies, right? The human DNA, the human genome can't tolerate that, right? Like it.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
though,
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, one of them guys, the Saddam guy, years ago,
Yep.
who killed his daughter's husband so they could marry their brothers.
Okay. Interesting.
Uh,
Yep.
and I'm thinking, well, the only reason they're doing that is because they want the bloodline, right? But I said, so
Yeah.
this wacko this kook is the result of all this horrible inbreeding.
Hmm.
To me, so does that mean that his soul is evil? I don't think so. I think his
No.
human is evil. His
Right.
vessel
Or
is evil.
ego. Substitute ego there.
Right.
The ego's in control at that point. And it's like I have to do this. I'm driven to do X, Y, and Z. That's the ego talking. It's the
Right.
fear consciousness.
Right. So and what it is there's no connection to clarity of thought when you are that, it's, I mean, it's, I'm sorry to say, but it's like mutants, right?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it's not, I mean, this is a slippery slope, so we should get off of it. But
Sure.
the idea is that I think that mental illness, I think that evil, I think that there's a lot of things out there that create, people who are killers, even to some degree, people that can do things that maybe are necessary in this world, have a little bit of a vibrational mismatch,
Mhm.
because like a pure child soul couldn't do something like whatever. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it. So
Yeah.
what is
Point.
the
Point.
idea? Have you ever, so let's move off of that because we don't
Sure.
only have another minute.
Okay.
Have you ever, and I don't know that I ever have, and I'm considering trying it. Have you ever actually just stepped back and said, I surrender?
I have in a couple cases, and so at yeah, just briefly, last year was a cesspool,
Yeah, we
right?
both know last
Yep.
2023
Yep.
was a
And
dump.
there was a point where I was like, okay, I don't know what to do anymore. I surrender, and I'm at do what you want with my life, spirit. I'm completely open and I surrender, and that's when things turned around. So
So there you go. And I got, I mean, for me, I was really pushed. You have to take December off. And it was really interesting because I would do readings for people, and I'd be telling them, you need, I'm giving you permission to take off to the end of the year.
right,
When I heard it like the fifth time, I was like,
I wonder if
oh, maybe this message is for me too, right? Um, so I did, and so I did, and I just let go of everything, and I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere near Canva. I didn't go anywhere near, Google Slides. I
Yep.
just left it all be, and I'm so much better.
Yeah. You got the rest you needed and the rejuvenation from spirit that can only come by, downtime.
So now I'm considering uh, some kind of actual ritual of surrender.
Ooh.
I'm really giving that some thought. A real ritual of surrender. I have a clear idea of what I want nowadays, so you know, I
So if you come up with a meditation in
I
which
will
you're doing that,
yeah,
I would be
absolutely.
more than overjoyed to
Absolutely.
be a part of that.
Absolutely. Maybe that okay, maybe that should be something that's a gift to people. All right, we'll do that.
That's amazing
Yeah, we'll come up with a
because we're not good at it
I
natively.
think I think that's a full moon thing actually, right?
Yeah. I
I
think we're
think
not good at that naturally, surrendering.
no,
I
we're
think it's
not.
hard. And when you actually learn how to do it, I think things become easier.
Yeah. They sure do, don't they?
Yeah.
So I just want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. That's what I want. And that's why no matter what happens on this channel, I want to do, and I've had people say, "Oh, you have a podcast, you should be promoting yourself all the time," no, no, no. It's a talk show.
Mhm.
This is a talk show. That's what we do. We talk. People like it when we talk. Maybe not a huge group, like a huge
Right.
crowd of people, but people like it when we talk. So I say we keep going like this. And I say that if there are people on who are listening this far, we appreciate you. We thank you so much. And
Mhm.
please don't forget to reach down and wherever it is, hit that
Mhm. Right. There's a button down there
subscribe button.
somewhere.
Hit that subscribe button. And you can also, what is it? You can like it. And then you can also hit
Sh and
notifications,
sh and
right?
share it too.
Oh, yeah. And share it. Well, it's like that one lady. There's some lady who I watch, and she's like, if you like this, please share it. If you like this, please share it. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so next week we're going to talk about manifesting with tarot
Yep.
and astrology. And sometimes we show books. We don't. One of these days we're going to get an affiliate shop because we just we do so many things. But I got this on Amazon. It's the complete guide to astrology. Naturally, John already had it, and I let
Yeah,
him
I do
know.
have it.
And it's what is it? Louise Eddington.
Paddington, yes.
Eddington. Um, and this is a guide. This is if you want to know what is the seventh house, if you want to know what does it mean to be a Libra, if you want to know what is the fifth house, or what is a trine, or what is a square, like this is the one. It
It's
tells you
quite
about
good.
the planets.
It's quite
This
good.
is because I opened that other one and it was all full of words. I didn't want to learn the story. I wanted it's a reference book. I came
Right,
up with the
right.
word
It's a
finally.
reference book.
It's a
That's it.
reference book. So I work with an astrologer. We all know I work with Lisa. I have, printouts that this house is in this and there's a square and a this and a that and a whatever. But when I look at that, now I can go to this book and I can say, "Oh, a square, it means this." There you
Or a
go.
yod pattern.
Yeah, right? Like I think I have 4 of them or something.
Oh, wow.
I I have a lot of them from
Nice.
if I
Those are good
remember.
things.
And I have a Thor's hammer, whatever that means.
Wow.
Anyway, so this is a really good one. This is not an affiliate link, but go over to Amazon and get that. And if you are interested in following along with our manifesting and setting intentions with the new moon, so and we're going to be talking about the February new moon
Yep.
next week, and we're also going to be talking about manifesting with tarot and with astrology, and let's make 2024 the best we can possibly be, because I think
Absolutely. Yep. And it's already going in that direction.
it's already going in that direction. And no matter what is in store for the globe, for globally, the more we align with the light, right?
The better things are
The
gonna get.
easier all of that will be, whatever it is.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Good
all right.
point.
Thank you all so much. And then give us just a couple of minutes and join us for tarot time. And oddly enough, we're going to be talking about the Two of Wands and the Five of Swords. And I think you brought up the Two of Wands a little bit earlier.
Indeed.
So we're going to set up that stream, and we will see you in a few minutes. And then we'll
Sounds
see you
good.
next week for another episode. Thank you all so much for being with us.